You are a brand new author or soon to be a brand new author, and you're thinking to yourself, what are the things that I should be doing before my book comes out? We're going to talk about that today. Hi, my name is Matthew Wayne Selznick. I am a 20 plus year veteran of independent publishing. I have 15 titles on the market, and I'm a 30 plus year veteran of DIY independent creative endeavors. My day job is helping creators, especially authors who are later in life, bring their works to fruition, to market, and to an audience. And it's those last two things that we're going to talk about in this video in broad strokes: the marketing and finding an audience, and what I like to call your indie author marketing infrastructure. These are the three things, the three interconnected things that you absolutely should have at least 6 months before your book comes out. And I'll get into why that is in a second. Now, all three of these things work together. They are interconnected and interdependent. But we live in a linear universe, so I'm going to have to talk to you about them one at a time. But understand that this is like a three-legged table, right? Pull away one of the legs and the table will fall over. You need all three of these things. You don't have to spend a ton of money. In some cases, you can get away with free. In other cases, they are free. But you need to have all three of these things in place for the indie author marketing infrastructure to truly work in concert and help you build your, what they call platform, your presence on the web, your online identity, right? In terms of you being an author. All right. So the first of those things is your website. Now, again, we're going to get into detail in its own video on what that entails. Don't want to get into too much technical stuff here. Leave a note in the comments if you would like me to prioritize that author website video. It's enough to say that your website is basically your proxy on the web. It's where people can find out who you are, what you're all about, and what your books are all about, or your book, since you're a brand new author, when you can't be there to speak for yourself. You want your website to be your name, or if you're using a pen name, your author name, not the name of your book. Because people look for the author. People are fans of and want to support and get to know and love and trust the author. They might say, one of my favorite books is, pick something, The Stand. But I'm a fan of Stephen King, right? You want the point of identification to be with you, because this may be your first book, but it might not be your last. And you don't want to have a different website for every single book that you put out. So you need to have an author website. The domain name should be your name. That's why my website is mattselznick.com. And I also own the domain names for MatthewWayneSelznick.com, MatthewSelznick.com. A domain name, if you really don't know this stuff, if you're really just starting from bare basics, the domain name is sort of the address or the phone number that takes people to the website, right? And of course, I'm using comparisons and metaphors here, analogies. So your website is your proxy on the web. It represents you when you can't be there, literally or virtually, when people are trying to find out who you are. Social media is probably where most people are going to encounter you at first. So you should have a presence on social media. Now, I know there are many first-time writers, first-time authors who really wish they didn't have to maintain a social media presence. And yeah, I feel you. But the days of simply writing and having markets for your writing and uh, building momentum, even if you're a traditionally published author, those days are over without your personal representation out there in the world. That's not to say that you have to spend hours and hours and hours on social media, but you should have a presence. And again, we can talk in depth about what that really means in practice and how it doesn't have to be a second job maintaining social media uh, in a separate video. Let me know in the comments again if you'd like to see that sooner rather than later. But here's the thing about social media, as I like to say, is it's social. So you are out there on the social media platform of your choice. I spend most of my time on Threads these days, and the link to my profile will be in the description. The time you spend on social media is as you, not to promote your upcoming book, but also not to be quiet about the fact that you have a book coming out, or that you're a writer, or this is what you write about, or these are your interests. Use social media to interact with and get to know and to become known by the people who share your interests, and especially the people who would have a common interest in the subject or the genre of the book you've got coming out. Be on social media as a fan, as someone who's passionate about the things that you're passionate enough to have written a book about, right? As people are interacting with you and getting to know you on social media, not only will they eventually begin to follow you, and you may already have a well-established following on social media, because let's face it, most of us are on one social media platform or another. But as new people get to know you on social media as you, they will inevitably look at your profile, and what they need to see there is a link to your website so that they can go that extra step, dig a little deeper into who you are. They've already encountered you as a person. They've seen your comments, they've seen your posts, they've liked your posts, they've commented on your comments and on your posts, and they're going a little deeper. They want to get to know you. So, as I said earlier, your website is that proxy that serves to represent you when you can't be there, when you're not in real time with them on social media. And it's a place where you have the room to go into greater depth about yourself and about your works. So people meet you on social media. They eventually get interested enough in you to visit your website. And there, they discover more about you and the fact that you've got a book coming out soon. And if your stuff resonates with them, if they are your ideal reader, then you need to have a way for them to know when that book comes out that is as close to foolproof as we can get. Now, yeah, sure. When your book comes out and in the days and weeks before your book comes out, I'm sure you're going to be posting on social media about it, and you should. But as you probably know, we've all dealt with social media long enough. Not everything we post gets seen by everybody we intend it to be seen by. Even if you pour money into ads, there's no guarantee that your message will reach the people who most need to hear it. And that's why you need a mailing list. And that's the third leg of the table. That's the third part of your indie author marketing infrastructure. The mailing list, your potential, eventual community member, reader, will see a form to sign up for that mailing list on your website. And once they're on your mailing list, they've basically said to you, I like you so much, and I'm so interested in what you have to say, and I'm so intrigued by this book you have coming out, that I'm giving you permission to email me, to tell me when that book comes out. Let's put it another way, a more practical way, perhaps a more mercenary way. That person, by signing up to your mailing list, is saying, I want to give you money when it's time for you to ask me to give you money. In marketing terms, we call that a warm lead. They're standing there at the counter with their wallet out. But it's more than that, because they've already come to know you a little bit on social media. They've gotten to know you a little bit more, sort of secondhand, by your website. And so they're not a stranger, not completely. And when they get on your mailing list, they become a member of your community. And once they're on your mailing list, here's the thing. And really, this whole infrastructure thing is about getting people on your mailing list. Because once they're on your mailing list, of course, you can email them. And you can tell all mailing list platforms, and again, separate video on mailing lists as they pertain to independent authors or any kind of author, first time, otherwise. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that video. The thing about a mailing list is you get to see all the analytical data. You get to see how many people it was sent to, how many people opened it. If you have links for people to click in that email, you get to see how many people clicked those links. And indeed, in all three of those things, you get to know exactly who did that. And that is data that you simply don't have when you post on social media and say, hey, buy my book, and here's a link. You have no idea who clicks it. You have no idea who takes action. That is the beauty of the mailing list. That and the fact that because the people on your mailing list, as I said, they are standing at the counter with their wallet in hand. They know you're an author. They know you are eventually going to have a book coming out, and they know that you're going to want people to read that book. So they know that you're going to ask them to spend money on you at some point. And they're there to do that. So that's why nothing converts better than a mailing list. Not advertising, not appearing on podcasts, not anything. The last industry data that I saw, it may be a couple years old, but it fits with my own personal experience, is that between 20 and 30% of the people you send an email to saying, hey, it's time, buy the book, here's the link, will do that. That's amazing. So, why do you need to have all these things in place 6 months before your book comes out? And I say 6 months, I mean at least 6 months. Well, because you're already on social media, right? You're already interacting with people. You already have people who follow you and who you follow and you interact with. Every interaction that you make from this moment on, where you're talking about your book, or you're mentioning that you're a writer, and people go to find out more about you and they don't have a way to, is a lost opportunity. The sooner you have the ability for people to go to a website and get on a mailing list, the sooner you can begin building that mailing list community, so that when it is time to finally say, hey, my book is out, it's time to get it, you'll actually have people on that list to tell it to, right? So those are the three interconnected, interweaving, interlocking parts of your indie, or honestly any kind of author marketing infrastructure. A social media presence doesn't have to be on every platform, doesn't have to be something you do hundreds of times a day or anything like that, but a presence on social media where you are active, a website with a domain name that is your name, not the name of your book, not something clever or fancy, but just your name or your pen name, and a mailing list for people to join your community so that you can reach out to them directly and so that you can track and know who you're interacting with and who is interacting with you, right down to the individual. All of these things are in place so that when your book comes out, you're able to have a splash. Maybe big, maybe small, but better than if you hadn't put this infrastructure in place in the first place. Now, a few years back, I wrote a short book called Indie Author Marketing Infrastructure. And you're going to see a barcode on the screen, and there will also be a link in the description where you can get a copy of that short ebook absolutely free. And yes, you will be joining my mailing list when you do that. But this particular mailing list will be for folks who are, authors like you, or soon to be authors, right? It's not going to be a list where I'm going to be promoting my own works to you, but I will be reaching out to you on that list to talk about how I can help you in your later in life independent author endeavors. So use the barcode, use the link in the description, get yourself a copy of Indie Author Marketing Infrastructure. It's an ebook. It'll work on any platform for free. And get on it. All right. And again, links are in the description. And leave a comment as to which video you'd like to see next, where I will dive deeper into one of those three, or each of those three legs of the infrastructure table: the social media piece, the website piece, the mailing list piece, specifically in the context of building your indie author marketing infrastructure. All right? Like, subscribe, click the bell, all that stuff. But really, get that copy of Indie Author Marketing Infrastructure, where I go into greater depth on the why behind all of this stuff. My name is Matthew Wayne Selznick. Take care.